Okay, so we know that the gross pay is equal to the hours times the wage. Okay. So what is this? This is the wage, right? This is your W. This would be the hours. This is your gross pay. They want the gross pay, right? So the gross pay is going to be hours multiplied by the wage. So basically you cover the G, you're left with H times W. So 5 hours times 1672. And that gives you 8360. Okay. And I hope you left some room because I'm going to add something to this. Okay, I'm going to add a B part to this. So let's consider this A, and we'll add a B part to this. Okay, so write this down. If her gross pay were to be 125.40, okay, so if her gross pay were to be this, how many hours did she work? John, you're here, okay. Okay. Yeah, so if you're ever late and join, just let me know you're here, okay? Jordan, you're there? All right. Did you know that most places that pay hourly, if you're late, even by 1 minute, they deduct 15 off your paycheck? So it's 15-minute increments. So if you're 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, anything up to 15, they'll take 15 off right away. If you're more than 15 minutes late, let's say it goes 16, they'll take half an hour away because now you're into that second quarter. Okay. So that's just a fact. I remember working at Kitchen Craft and that happened to me once or twice and it hurts. Anyway, so calculate the gross, if her gross pay were to be 125.40. So this is my G, right? How many hours did she work? What is not, what is implied here is that your wage stays the same. So they're asking you for how many hours. So if you cover up hours in your triangle, you're left with gross divided by, this line is divided by the wage, right? So we're going to take, to get the hours, we would take the gross and divide it by the wage, right? So one more line, hours would be 125.40 divided by 1672. And that would equal to, if you plug this into your calculator, you get 7.5 hours. So she worked 7.5 hours for that job. So we're kind of working backwards, okay? So that would be your B part there. Okay. Next, 4. Okay, Ben works as a carpenter for $20.87 an hour. How much will he earn in a 40-hour work week? How much will he earn? That's asking for gross pay. What's the gross pay? That's what they're asking for there. Okay, so again, you're asking for gross pay, so it'll be hours multiplied by the wage. In this case, let's do this over here because I have another B portion here. So gross pay is going to be 40 hours multiplied by 2087. So if you multiply these two, you get 834.80. We're on page 6. I saw somebody joining there. I don't know who it was. Anyways, that is your gross pay there. So it's usually the bigger number. Okay, it's the bigger number that represents. So that be. So we'll do a B part here. If you work 28 hours and got paid 691.04, calculate his hourly wage for that job. If you worked 28 hours and got paid 691.04, calculate his hourly wage for that job. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but I've worked jobs where I got paid to do the job. It wasn't an hourly thing. It was just like, okay, if you get this done, we'll pay you $1,000, right? I would work like crazy just to get it done. But at the end of the day, I always took my money and divided it by the hours I put in because I want to know, do I make a decent amount per hour, right? Because if it ends up being $8 an hour, you're like, well, I will make more working at 7-Eleven, right? Getting minimum wage, right? So that's basically what's happening here, right? You're a carpenter, you did this job for 28 hours and you got paid 691. What is your hourly wage there? So this pyramid is your friend, right? I'm going to scroll up. So you want the hourly wage. So this should be on your study sheet, by the way. If you want the hourly wage, you cover that up. So that's the one you write down. You will take your gross pay. Sorry, I'm mixing this up, right? Way to go. Hold on. In this case, you want to know the wage, so you write that down first. If you cover up the wage, it's gross divided by hours, right? So that's still true. Okay? Yeah, we can see, okay? There we go. Sorry, Jordan. Thanks for letting me know. So the wage, right? The wage is gross pay divided by hours, right? And so we'll take the 691.04 divided by 28. So W is 24.68 per hour this is, right? The hourly wage is per hour. So it made pretty good money on that job, right? Broke it down. So write that down and then I'll continue to the next question. So every question, basically, I'm adding stuff to it because I find the way they have it in this book is not good enough. Okay, they throw questions at you later that you're not prepared to do. So now we're gonna take it one step further. Usually so far when they asked you to come up with the gross income, which is the same thing as the gross pay, it's your pay, right? Gross pay, same thing. They would give you the hours, right? In this case, you need to figure out the total hours. Okay, so you add up all these hours, you get 28, 34, right? 34 hours just by adding it all up. So you get 34 hours. So this person's gross pay, right? You cover the G, you're left with hours times wage. You work 34 hours and you got paid. Don't use up too much room, sorry. I'm going to do it next to it, okay? Is 34 hours times 35.75. Okay, and that will be 1215.50. So this is the gross pay. Okay, that will eventually, it will always go down. You will never make that much money, even if you're self-employed and you get to keep all of it because you don't take taxes off. At the end of the year, you'll have to pay tax on it, right? So for now, we're just going to leave it at that. So this was part A. I'm out of lecture. Okay. So B, if the following week he works and I'll just put that he works. So we'll do Monday, it's 7 hours, Tuesday 8 hours, Wednesday 9 hours, Thursday 2 hours, Friday 15 hours. Calculate the gross pay. He's still making the same wage as up there, okay? So the hours, right, 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 2 plus 15 will be, this is 15 and 15 is 30. So plus 11, that's 41 hours. Anybody know what a full work week is for like a Monday to Friday? Do you know what a full day is usually? How many hours in a day? Anybody? What's that? 45 a week, you're saying? It's about 40 to 45, but most companies they go 40, okay? So you work 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday. So 8 times 5, 40, okay? Most companies pay bi-weekly, so every second week. So you'll get, if you work 2 full weeks, you get 80 hours on every paycheck, right? That's not including overtime. This is just regular time. Okay, so gross pay in this case would be 41 hours multiplied by still making 35.75. Okay, so that's the implication here. And I got to change that because I changed the hours on myself. 1465.75. So this is now slowly getting, where did the 9 come from? This 9 came from here. Is that the one you're asking? You got 8. Which one are you talking about? You're talking about this one here, B? TN? Okay, hold on. 7, 8, 9, 215. Yeah, it's a new problem. This is just, I just came up with this. Okay, B is just, I made you copy that. Yeah, no, that's the answer. That's the answer. Okay, we'll keep going. Yeah, I'm adding because this book doesn't have enough repetition, right? So you have more examples here. Let's go to page 7. I will also add to this. Okay. So we're going to do, this is basically A here. Okay. Then we're going to do a B part. If you did some work here, just write it down here somewhere. That's fine. I'm going to get rid of the solution here. C. So write those down, please. So this is your A, B, and C. Okay. So here we go. G worked 34 hours. His gross income, right? Gross income is that. What is his hourly wage? Again, I'm just going to quickly do this here. Okay. Gross is hours and W. It doesn't matter where you put them as long as you remember that. What do we know? We know the hours. We know the big number, which is your gross pay. So you're going to have to find the wage, right? So for A, we're going to solve that here. Wage is going to be the gross divided by 34. And you get 968, which would be illegal in Manitoba right now, right? 1090 is our minimum. Okay. Okay, what does it say for B? What would be the yearly or annual income? Okay, if you ever apply for a credit card, they ask you how much you make a year. So the reason why I'm wanting to teach you this, and you need to know this, is take what you make a week and multiply by 52, because there's 52 weeks in a year, right? Yearly is going to be 329.12 times 52 weeks. Okay, so that's what it's going to be in this case. So that's 17,114.24 a year. Okay, Carter, I saw you. Okay, so we've got this for the year. And then C, it says, what is the average monthly income? So average monthly, what we would do there is just take the 17,114.24 and divide it by 12 months, right? And there you get 1,426.19 per month. So on average, you make this much per month. Do not take your weekly and multiply it by 4. It's going to be lower than this. It's always a little bit more, because a month doesn't have exactly 4 weeks. Not exactly. There's always a couple of days, and so those days add up. So on average, you make more actually than just 4 times your weekly. Okay? So are we good, or I'm going to leave it right about there. Okay? Okay, next. Last year, Liliana earned this much working in Grand Prairie Hair Salon. What was her average monthly income? To go from yearly to monthly, right? We just divide by 12. To go from monthly to yearly, we would go times 12. Okay? I'm trying to come up with a creative way here to have it all in one shot here. Let me just get this figured out. If this is the yearly, don't copy this yet. For annual, it's the same thing. Okay. If you wanted to get it there, and then so you have daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, semi-monthly. Okay, so if you want to go from here to there, right, you'd have to divide by 365. If you wanted to go from here to there, it's times 365. Okay. If you want to go from here to weekly, you got to divide by 52. This might get a little crowded, but right, if you want to go from here to there, you go times 52. If If you want to go from yearly to bi-weekly, you go divided by 26. If you want to go from weekly to yearly, you go times 26. It's a little crowded there, but if you want to go from yearly to monthly, you divide by 12. If you want to go the other way around, you multiply by 12. Here you would divide by 24. Semi-monthly is 24. If you want to go back to it, times 24. Okay, so if you want to have maybe spread it out around it, that's maybe what I should have done. But try to have this on your study sheet, because I can't, like, there's so many times where students forget. What is that again? Is it 24 or 26, right? What is it? Semi-monthly is 24. Bi-weekly is different. Every 2 weeks is 26. So 365, 52, 30, 26, 12, 24, right? Maybe just have to have a divide going this way and a times going towards the year, right? So it's always divide times. So if you go to yearly, it's always times. If you go back to one of those subcategories, it's divided by whatever it is. So I'm going to say study sheet, right? So I'm boxing this in. Be creative, and if you have a very creative way of doing this, let me know, okay? That is less messy. I'm already thinking of a better way, so I might do that on a different page. Anyway, so you have a yearly. This is the yearly, okay? Because it's telling you last year you made this much. What's the monthly? So you want to get it from yearly to monthly, so you have to divide by 12, right? So we would go 45, 183.36 divided by 12, and you get 3765.28 per month. Okay. What is, they have to say average, by the way, because it's not always exactly. What is their average weekly income? You go here, you're going from yearly to weekly, so you have to divide by 52, right? Divided by 52, and that is 868.91 per week. And I'm going to highlight this note. I added this, okay? There are 52 weeks in a year. Most people think that a month has 4 weeks. If using this logic, there would only be 48 weeks in a year, right? Because you go 4 times 12, right? 4 weeks times 12 months, that's 48 weeks. That can't be. There's like 4 weeks missing, right? So you got to be careful. Always convert to, add this to your notes, to yearly amount, then divide by 12 for monthly, 26 bi-weekly, etc. Basically the way you did it on the chart there. So always convert to yearly and then divide by whatever you want to get, right? So if they're giving you your weekly income and they want to ask the average monthly, first turn that into a yearly amount, then divide it to get the biweekly. All right. Back next page, we're now on 8. Okay. If Yanni works 40 hours a week as a receiving clerk at a hospital, he earns $552.88 per week. What's the hourly wage? Forgot how this goes. GHP. Sorry, GHW. Right? So what's the hourly wage? You cover up H, you're left with gross pay divided by, sorry, you cover up W. That's the one you want to know, and it's gross pay divided by hours. So it's 552.88 divided by 40 hours. This is a dollar amount, and that is $13.82 per hour. I'm going to add a B here. How much does Yanni make bi-weekly? How much would Yanni make bi-weekly? So Dirksen, it's every 2 weeks, so I'm just going to multiply this by 2, right? That is one way of doing it, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a little different if you go yearly and then bi-weekly. So let me just check this. Yeah, so it's just, in this case, you can just go 552.88 per week, right? We're just going to multiply it by 2, and that is 1105.76 bi-weekly. In this case, you're fine. Eight, you're making a certain amount, that's your gross pay. You work this many hours, that's H. Hourly salary is the same thing as hourly wage, okay? The same thing, which is for us H, right? So H is going to be gross, sorry, I keep on mixing it up, sorry folks. This is W because it's the wage, right? Wage. So to get the wage, we go gross pay divided by the hours. So you go 321.25 divided by 32.5, and that gives you 988 per hour. just gonna freeze the screen here once. I just want to check some. Oh, I can check it on this one. Okay, so now we're going to start something a little different, working with timetables. And not the timetable you grew up memorizing, but actually like a time card, finding out how many hours somebody would work, right? With the ins and outs of morning and the afternoon. It gets kind of complicated. So before I do this, I want to warm up a little bit. So we're going to go to page 9, where there's a blank page right after this. Okay, and we're going to call this working with hours and minutes. Okay, I need to make sure you review. So this is on page 9 of your booklets. Okay, working with hours and minutes. Warm up. Okay, so 1 hour and 15 minutes plus 2 hours and 30 minutes. What would that be in total? Okay, so these are your hours and minutes. Okay, that's what you should be thinking of. You're not time, but it's hours and minutes. Okay, so in this case you would add up your hours, okay, and or your minutes and hours separately, but I don't like that. Okay, what I'm going to tell you to do is to do the following. Recall that 15 minutes is going to be equal to a quarter of an hour. Okay, and that 30 minutes is going to be equal to half an hour, and that 45 minutes is going to be equal to 3/4 of an hour. I'm going to ask you to turn it into a decimal, okay? So I'm going to box this in because even though this should be common knowledge, that's something that you should probably make sure finds its way to the study sheet. Okay, so 15 minutes is quarter of an hour, half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. Okay, so how does this translate? This translates to 1 1/4 because it's 15 minutes. So instead of writing down 15 minutes, we're going to write down 1/4. So this would be 1.25 hours. And this translates to 2.5 hours. That's how I want you to do this, not the other way around. I know that some teachers would ask you to add the minutes, add the hours, but I just want you to do it like this. So you can use your calculator now, right? So you go 1.25 plus 2.5, that is 3.75 hours. Okay? That's what we need to be good at doing right now. So I will give you a couple more. So if you have if somebody worked 2 hours and 45 minutes one day and 1 hour and 30 minutes the next day, what would that add up to? So I want you to calculate that on your own right now. Oops. So just do these by yourself, okay? just go ahead and, using this example, come up with how many, as a decimal, how many hours would that be? Okay, so go for it. All right, so you transfer that, right? You put the 2 point, you figure out what that is as a decimal, and it's 0.75, plus 1.5, right? And that would give you, you get 3.25, 4.25, right? Hours there. Next, you have 4 and 45, so it'd be 4.75 plus 5 hours and 45 minutes, so that'd be 5.75. So that would be 10.5 hours, right? Then you have 315, that's 3.25 plus 7.5, and that is 10.75 hours. So if you're able to do that, if you were able to do that, you're in good shape, okay? Which bottom part? You got it, Jordan? Because I didn't, this part? If you're wondering where I get this from, right? I think you just go back to the clock, right? 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, right? If you think of a pie, remember your fractions. 50 minutes is quarter of an hour. 30 minutes would be half an hour. 45 minutes would be 3/4, right? And so forth. Okay, that's where I got, so 15 minutes for us is the same thing as saying quarter of an hour. 30 minutes is the same thing as saying 0.5 of an hour. 45 is 3/4 of an hour. So you basically divide this by 60, always by 60, because it's out of 60, right? So we're going to practice what we just learned, take it to the next level. So if you could just copy this. Michelle worked the following schedule: Monday, Tuesday only. We're going to do 2 days only. And in and out. And we're going to figure out the total hours that she's worked for Monday and Tuesday. So go ahead and copy that, okay? Before I continue. So because this is, it's things that you at first look easy, right? First glance, it looks easy. You have to just be able to though come up with the hours, and it's kind of tricky, right? Do you all have your study sheet on you? If you have it on you, if you have your study sheets at home, if it's 7 o'clock, then it's just 7. There's no decimal really needed. If it's 7 hours you've worked. I will do, I have a feeling you're going ahead, Jordan. Just wait for me, okay? I'm going back to that page with the timetable, with the schedule there in a bit. Time card, I should say. Okay. Now, pay close attention, okay? Because it gets complicated. So this is my tool for you. On your study sheet, because if you do this on your study sheet, you get to reuse it over and over again, okay? So maybe I'll just mimic, I will just say, this is my study sheet right here, and this is under consumer decisions, and you can make a new one later if you don't like it. Use a ruler or something to make a straight line, and just make a line that's about this long, okay? I'm using the centimeter markings on my ruler, and I'm going to start with the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. They don't have to be exactly the same distance apart. So if you're just guessing, that's fine. But we're going to start with, this is going to be our number line, okay? If you start with at 6 in the morning, you will pretty much cover all the scenarios that you will encounter in this class. So 6 in the morning till noon, and then you start again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. If you go from 6 to 9, you are going to cover everything. So this is what we're going to use to calculate time. It's going to help us. Okay? So I'm going to start easy, and then we're going to slowly increase the intensity. Because trust me, it gets pretty, like, there's a lot of numbers you're going to have to look at, right? So for Monday, so make sure you go from 6 to 9 or 6 to 8, something in that. So if you have this on your study sheet, you can always come back to it, right? So we're working on Monday from 7 to 12, right? So where are we going to go? We're going to start at 7 here, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Exactly. So we're just going to put down 5 hours. So on Monday, no big deal, worked 5 hours. Okay. What about Tuesday? It doesn't start at 7 exactly, starts a little bit into 7, past 7. So watch what I do. I ignore this for now, but really, to get you to 8, how much have you worked? To get you to 8, you've worked 45 minutes, right? So I'm going to go, what should I do here to make sure you understand that? So 7:15 to 8 o'clock, right? That'd be 45 minutes, which is 0.75 of an hour, right? So I'm going to count for the 0.75 an hour. Now I'm at 8. Let's go count to 11. So 1, 2, 3 full hours and another 45 minutes, which is another 0.75. Okay, so I have to account for that 0.75 as well as the 3 hours. So I add this all up, and that's 4.5, right? If you use your calculator, 0.75 and 0.75 is 1.5, plus 3 is 4.5, so 4.5 hours. So you put that down here, worked 4.5 hours. Okay? So a total of, if you add these two up, you get 9.5 hours in total. Okay? So let's make a little note here. If her wage is 15 bucks an hour, calculate her gross pay. So gross pay is just going to be 9.5 times 15. That's almost 150, right? That's 142.50. Okay. So you're gonna have to be good at adding quarters, halves, and 3/4. Okay, like those numbers you're gonna have to be really good at. So we will do one example together that requires a little bit more work than what you're used to. So remember, this is my study sheet right now. Okay, that should be your study sheet. So we're going to leave this bottom part here. We're going to leave it blank. And we're going to go to page 10. You should be looking at this one right there. This is on page 10. Okay. I need to hand it off a little bit. You need to get your feet wet. Okay. How many hours did you work from here to here? Try to come up with that amount over here per day. Okay. Try to do that on your own. Big deal if you get it wrong right now. Big deal. Not a big deal at all. So have your study sheet with that number line and figure out how many hours you've been working. Okay. It doesn't matter. In this case, I would start in the afternoon, right? It's the afternoon to evening that you're figuring out. And then come up with the total number of hours as well. All right. By the way, if you just find the hours, you're not quite done yet, right? How much would you earn if the time card below represents the work week? So they're still asking us how much this person would earn based on the hours worked. But let's just pause here with the hours, okay? Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you two methods. One is fail proof, nothing, like you can't really go wrong with it. And this one is the one that you would use to, it's basically mental math, okay? Watch what I do. 330 puts me right about here, between 3 and 4. So I count from 330, watch. 330 to 430 is 1, 2, 3 hours. That gets me to 630. So I'm always going up 60 minutes. So if I start at 330, it's 430, that's 1. 532. 630 is 3 hours. So I know I have 3 full hours in. And to get me from 630 to 645, that's 15 minutes. So that 15 minutes would be quarter of an hour. Okay? So that should be 3 1/4. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, 5 to 9:30. So 5. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, right? So that should have been pretty easy to do. This is the same as Wednesday. 3:30 to 7. Okay? So 3:30 is right here again. So I go 1, 2, 3. So that gets me 3 full hours. And then it's another half hour to 7. So that's how you do that. Okay? And now we're going to add them all up. Right? So 450 and 450 is 9, 1250, 15, 75 hours total. Hours. Okay? That you've worked. And then you do gross pay, right, would be 1575 times this person makes 1245 an hour. That's 196.09. Now let me show you the foolproof works every time scenario. Are you watching? Okay. Okay, watch this. If you subtract these 2 times, right, the difference is going to give you the hours worked. So you start with the out time. What's 645 as a decimal? 6.75, right? Minus what's 3 hours and 30 minutes as a decimal? That's 3.5. If you go 3.65 minus 3.5, you'll get 3.25. Okay? Next, what's 9 hours? 9:30 would be 9.5 minus 5. You get 4.5. Okay? Same thing here, 9.5 minus 5, 4.5. Here you get 7 minus 330, so that's 3.5. You get 3.5. Okay? And then when you add them up, you get 1575 as well. So this one is another method. This is method 2, which I would suggest if you're struggling with the number line. So then you do it this way, but you have to be very careful to transfer it over correctly, right? Or else you will make mistakes. Okay. Right? So before we go, we have 11 minutes left. I want to step it up a notch, okay? Now you need to do this one here. Watch what I'm going to tell you. There is a morning and an afternoon, right? Figure out what this is. Write it down here. Then figure out how many hours you've spent here and write it down here. Add them up and then you put the number, actual number here. Otherwise, you're going to run out of room, right? So you, and some students like to just do the morning first, and then they'll go over and just do the afternoon or whatever. Whatever works, just be consistent, okay? So that's it for today. Make sure you know how to do one of these, okay? Because tomorrow's AC, I'm going to have a time card for you to figure out how many hours, and this is how much did she earn that week. Okay, so that's it. If you're home, you can log off. Just get ready for tomorrow. Have your study sheet. Okay, that's it for today. If you're here, just work on this until the bell goes. Okay, I'll come around.